I was not going to let you guys down in the last review where I said I actually was going to do a major spoilers video on the MLP movie. Probably the thing I'm going to do is I'm going to quickly go through what happens to our crew, and then at the end of it point out what I kind of liked and didn't like about the film, because I was just praising the film in the last review, and I even got a really good comment from a user. But let's get into the major spoilers detail. Continuing off where we left off, Twilight heard from Celestia that Luna should go and find the hippos. And so our characters go off on their quest, which leads Tempest Shadow, as she is contracted by the Storm King, played once again by Liev Schreiber, and he tells her to go after Twilight and grab her so that he can do something with them, I think. And so as our crew winds up finding themselves in a desert town, they wind up meeting up with a feline con artist named Camper, as he takes them in as Twilight goes through and finds out what these hippos are down south of Equestria. And it turns out that they're hippogriffs. And just as Tempest Shadow arrives at the town, Camper winds up helping them out and getting them onto another ship to escape from Tempest and her goons. Even after they get on the ship, they wind up coming across a couple of delivery crew from the Storm King that they're forced to deliver all of the merchandising that has Storm King's face on it. And just as they basically are forced to do whatever, Rainbow Dash winds up finding out that they used to be pirates, as she winds up getting the motivation back into them to become the pirates they once were, before Storm King came in and ruined their lives. The other thing that happens is that Tempest winds up finding out about them through a sonic rainboom, and as they hide to get away from Tempest, Twilight winds up finding an exit door and falls out in the nick of time, escaping from the antagonist. And so the seven wind up finding themselves at Mount Eris, where the hippogriffs are. And as they look at their town, it looks to be desolated, like there's no one there. But it turns out that a cave leads to the new location of the hippogriffs, where apparently they turned themselves into seahorses. And so as they're talking about how they became what they are in the place, they wind up finding out that possibly they could live there for a while, or at least just see what it's like under the sea. So the queen of all of the hippogriff seahorses, just roll with it, she winds up turning all of our crew into seahorses, minus Spike, who winds up turning into a pufferfish. And as the rest of the crew winds up showing the rest of the seahorses a good time, Twilight winds up sneaking out and trying to get the orb so that, at least in her plan, she can turn every one of the ponies into seahorses to escape from Storm King and his reign of terror. And it obviously doesn't work, as the queen winds up kicking them out, and everybody gets upset with Twilight after doing such a thing. Which leads to Twilight running out, like running away from them, but she winds up getting captured by Tempest, and is essentially brought back to Equestria for the Storm King to steal up her magic, along with the other Alicorns she froze. But anyways, during one of the songs used in the film, which is the antagonist song, Open Up Your Eyes, we wind up finding out how Tempest became who she was, and why she feels like all the magic is wasted on little things like parties. We find out that Tempest once was a unicorn. You couldn't tell because of the broken horn. But we find out that Tempest went into the cave of an Ursa Minor, and what happened there is that the Ursa Minor just hacked off her horn, and is the reason why she can never use magic properly. Why it scared all the fillies away and led them to be friends with other ponies. Simple motivation, though not one that's interesting. And as our crew winds up deciding to go back to try and save Twilight before the world is doomed, it turns out that the crew we've met, the sea ponies, the bird pirates, and even Capper, wind up deciding to pitch in and save Twilight and her crew once and for all. And so, once Twilight is delivered, we finally see the Storm King in his full detail. And I'll get to him in a moment, just let me finish up here. So quicker than anything, Storm King winds up stealing all four of the Alicorn's magic, and as he finds out, he's able to use the sun and the moon to basically mess around with everything. So he uses it for that because he's a goofball, apparently. Then later on, as he's goofing around, we wind up finding out that the crew that comes in to help save Equestria sets up a Trojan horse-like setup for an ambush that will hopefully get rid of Storm King and her goons. His goons. But as they are exposed, they wind up popping out and coming in to save the day, which obviously leads Storm King to obviously set up what else? A storm. But I'd say it's more of a twister than it is the storm. But what happens afterwards is that after certain situations happen, such as people knocking off the spear from him, which obviously leads the main part of the castle destroyed, Twilight and crew wind up coming in to try and destroy the... Twilight and crew wind up coming in, and in the prayers that Twilight and crew wind up setting up a plan to try and grab the staff before the Storm King can. Storm King winds up finding out about this as he goes in and tries to stop Twilight from stealing the spear, which unfortunately both Twilight and Storm King wind up getting sucked into the tornado as we think that they're dead. But thankfully Twilight flies off through heaven to give back the spear, but the Storm King winds up coming back once more to try and possibly defeat her once and for all by stoning her. But for sacrificial reasons, Tempest winds up coming in and stopping the rain once and for all, as she winds up taking the bullet, as well as the Storm King, as both of them are frozen, and oddly enough, both of them fall down to their deaths. But here's the kicker. Storm King falls down and shatters, thus he can no longer come back. But Tempest winds up being saved and returned back to who she used to be. As realizing she had a sudden change of heart for just what recently happened now. And so, after everything's been fixed and it's back the way it was, the Friendship Festival continues onward as Songbird Serenade starts setting up her song that at least was hinted at before Twilight was brought back to Equestria, but as we know by this point, it isn't until the end of the movie that we see a song. And even after Songbird Serenade sets up her song, Twilight convinces Tempest to use at least some of her magic for good, as she winds up setting up fireworks from her broken horn, as the crew winds up accepting Tempest as a friend. And at the end of the film, we wind up finding out what Tempest's real name was. And that's where it all ends. So, I gotta be honest right here. After reviving a lot of what happened in the movie, definitely a big factoid is somehow, at least when I think about it more, the pacing is a bit fast with the film. I mean, it's sort of the mixture of it being one of the non-animated films and being from a small factoid, but I think it's also because of the limitations that studios have on having animations be a certain length is kind of what holds back the film. So kind of the reason the fast pace is because of budget constraints or the fact that the studio needed to keep the film under 2 hours. But let's talk about the characters before I get into anything else with the movie. For one, let's talk about Liev Schreiber's character, Storm King. Now, as you guys know, the voice actor behind Storm King, Liev Schreiber, you guys know I love him in Ray Donovan, and partially I even liked him even in a small-time role like in BoJack Horseman. And yes, he was in BoJack as at least a small minor character in season 2. But it's interesting that they actually got him for that series. But the Storm King's character, at least I was hoping that from some of the promotional images I saw, or at least what I could think the plot could be, was that the Storm King was going to be the main antagonist, and he was going to be freaky and scary and all that. But as the first trailer came along, it was sad to see that Storm King was pushed aside for Tempest, but what do you expect? Another thing is that at least Liev Schreiber said when he was doing the role is that the Storm King, from his perspective, was kind of like Basil Rathbone. As for the Storm King's character, his character has been compared to Basil Rathbone, which I still need to see some of his roles when I get the time. But he said that Storm is prone to temper tantrums, is a little crazy, and has a wide range of behaviors. But from what I've seen, he's completely and utterly focused. At least he's too full of himself. He only thinks about him ruling everything, having everything he wants, and being able to take over the world and all that. He doesn't focus on his crew or anything like that. He's just, do this for me, otherwise you'll be gone forever. That's essentially what he is. But at least I know for a factoid, and I still need to see what his voice acting sessions were. I mean, what they were given in one of the videos, unfortunately, we're not able to hear what he's like in the sessions. But when I see, the fact is the Storm King is an interesting character, though it was kind of misleading that this would be the main antagonist. Now, as for the other characters, I do have to say, at least for Taye Diggs and Michael Pena, Emily Blunt, Christine Sedgworth, Zoe Saldana, and Uzo Aduba, they all play their characters very well, and even if they play off after our leads, they do have an interesting formula to them. An example being is, I do like, at least what Tempest is. I mean, the idea of an antagonist being once a unicorn is tempting, but as lots of people saw her character, it was like, oh, it's one of those bad OCs you wind up coming across. Minus the fact that it isn't striped red and black and all, and it isn't an alicorn. Yeah. From my perspective, I've heard a lot of people say that. But also to the end of the movie, at least Tempest, at least if they do set up a sequel, I would like to at least have some acknowledgement that they actually have her in there. It isn't like, pass off, we don't have much continuity to what happened in previous episodes type of deal. At least I want that out of the film, if they ever do a sequel. As for the name that was given at the end of her film for Tempest's real name, that name turns out to be Thistle... Sorry. It's just the name is so funny now, for whatever reason. And I don't know why I didn't laugh at the movie when I saw it for the first time in theaters, so let me try to get through this. Fizzle Pop Berry Twist. Nailed it. And that's her real name. Right there. I don't know if there's really much to say about the characters other than Tempest, Shadow, and Storm King. I mean, there's just two factoids I wanted to point out. I mean, we do see, like, characters that... I mean, essentially when we see Capper and the humanoid parrot that can't even pronounce the name, and I don't want to butcher it, and Princess Skystar, who was a hippogriff turned sea pony, they're all brought to their attention and by these ponies and are just like, yeah, these characters are good. We're going to help out in their cause. And that's what the motivations are for the characters. They wind up coming across them and they get motivated to help them out. That's honestly what I could think about for the film. If there's something I at least want to point out, story-wise, some of the elements I've actually realized out of seeing the movie for the first time, but I decided to save it up for the major spoilers to talk about. The one thing I wanted to bring up is some of the story elements I am familiar with. The obviously we do have the parties just going on a tangent rant, and then all of a sudden they just don't want to talk to each other. Like, I've seen that one done before a couple of times. Like, partially I've seen that done in Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, and at least the one that's coming to my mind now, Ed and Eddie's Big Picture Show, which you haven't heard about that one. It's obviously a film based upon Ed, and Eddie, which, if you love that show, I do recommend checking it out. Never mind. The whole, tangent rant of them breaking up for a while, I've seen that cliche done before. And I think another one is the cliche that person brings them in and it turns out that they were going to sell them. It is cliche at best. Though I don't think I have seen that before in films. Again, I need to brush up on a lot of films since I just watch them for the heck of it and don't even review them. But thankfully there's a reason I have Movie Fridays to thank. Now, as for the rest of the movie, it is turned out pretty well, though it could be a little bit longer for some story elements, but it's sort of kind of the big idea on whether or not they can hold the kids in there for a certain amount of time, because I think one thing I noticed is that no 2D animated film, family film-wise, and I don't think there's any recent film, even from Disney, that's longer than 2 hours, or at least anything that's longer than 2 hours, has ever been released. At best, I've seen these films run at about somewhere around an hour and 30 minutes, or somewhere near 1 hour and 50 minutes. So, even when seeing the movie the first time, the film felt like it went by really quick. I mean, not like Ray Donovan or MOP quick, just quick in general. But for the time they were given, I'd say it was good at best. Now, as for the music itself, let's talk about it. Because there's a lot in this film. And one thing I was hoping about is that it would open up with a narration, at least for a little while, talking about our characters and who they are, what their personalities are like. But the film decides they're going to open up with a ponified version of We Got the Beat, which, not that I have an issue with a restyling of the song, it's just, it could have been used for something better, to say the very least. I mean, they could have used We Got the Beat as for when they're for the montage when the ponies are going out and helping free Equestria by fighting them with cakes and everything. We Got the Beat could have been used right there, almost in vein to Jimmy Neutron Boy Genius from 2002. And yes, Jimmy Neutron actually had a movie before the TV series on Nick. Other than that, the Daniel Ingram songs that were given in the movie are really good, and I do like what they have going for it. Though there's one thing I do want to point out, outside of the film soundtrack, is that the composition for the film, the background score and everything, that I really love. The significant detail in the score that I hope by some time that whoever holds the label for releasing the film soundtrack, they'll get around to releasing the film score, because the film, its compositions are really, really well put together. And the composer just doesn't get a lot out of the film's compositions, which is very sad to see such a thing happen. It's sad to see Daniel Ingram have all of this score go for nothing. It's despairing. I mean, Daniel Ingram, for Pete's sake, he's got a really great score going on for it, but nobody ever acknowledges it. But certain underground bases of the MLB fandom do. I think overall, even after talking about the major spoilers, there are a few couple of interesting flaws here and there that it could go down to the apple juice with no apple juice required. But I still stay firm onto the fact it is still worth buying on Blu-ray. It's just a matter of what your perspective is on the film, if it's going to interest you, if you're just going to see the film once and just later on in life probably see it either on Amazon Video or on TV. It's that big question that gets into people's minds after seeing it. Even with the screening I saw, with it minorly being just a few couple of families, or at least mothers with their kids being there for the film, and like one other person I knew from the meetup group actually appearing there, it was quite interesting to see all that happen. And to see at least a certain amount of people set up for it. But then again, by the time I saw the movie, school hadn't gotten out at the time, so you could guess for the minor turnout it was, they don't, at least family film wise, especially since school week or whatever, they will not see the movie until like the weekend or whatever they have free time to see it. But hopefully the one thing I hope for is that it'll get its budget back. Currently, Wikipedia is not giving out information on what the film's budget is, not even Google or even Box Office Mojo. But one thing I'm hoping for is we'll get something out of this, and hopefully this speaks to Hasbro saying we want a sequel to this movie. But also we need a revival in 2D animation, because there is so much 2D animation in here, it isn't funny. I mean, we have a total of 3 CG animated movies, and it's really sad that we only have this much of animation, like this much in 2D animation, but like we only have a small amount in 2D animation, but a big one in CG, which pretty much, and I'm probably not the only one that's going to say this, we rely too much on CG animation. I mean, for certain action films I can understand, but by the time the 90s came along, I think we are just around getting used to perfecting practical animation. And it's sad to see that it was all wasted and we don't get to see what our situation is as of now with animation. We see a lot of 3D animation, just not 2D. It's like, oh, 2D's just for the direct-to-video and TV show scenarios. Movies aren't allowed to have 2D animation. it can be used for everything. Keep that in mind. Also, as of right now, by the time I'm recording this, Box Office Mojo has listed out that, estimately domestic-wise here in the US, we have a total of $2 million that's been, at least estimately-wise, has been raked up from the premiere last night. It's good to know that the movie is getting the attention it deserves, so I'm glad for that, and glad the movie is at least raking up some sort of budget. Though we do need to know what the budget was. Hopefully it's somewhere around at least $18 million. I don't remember what the budget was for the movie. But I am going to continue onwards from what I did in the review. But again, the My Little Pony movie, have you seen it? What did you think about it? And another question I wanted to bring up, but I never did in the other reviews is, would it be perfect as a standalone movie if you're not familiar with Friendship is Magic or the MOP fandom at all? Clearly there are some critics that say no. But I just want to hear your thoughts. Whatever your thoughts are, comment below, let me know. And as always, if you like what you've seen and you want to see more, just click on a couple of these if you want to see more. And as always, I'm the Ferb Guy, and I'll see you guys for the next movie.